Hi, grade 7. So this is our final lesson on algebra now, and we're just going to look at a last little unit topic of just how to create formulae and equations, and then use those equations and formulae you've created to find a particular answer. Most of the skills that you're going to use are ones we've already practiced. The only thing we're really adding is how we can take a word problem and then create an equation or a formulae out of it. The team we post today has got a couple of things for you to do. Obviously, you're on the first point, which is just a video that we're going through. Remember, next lesson, we're going to do our end of unit checkup, which I'm going to tell you about later today. And I'm going to post a video on YouTube, which you can watch at your own time. So today, there's two things to do. Okay, they're split into 3 sections. Make sure that you've done at least the first 2. I've put 5 questions in the end that are like a little extension, which are optional, but everyone must finish section A and section B. I've also just put at the end a mastery question and an exemplary question. I'd like you to try one of those 2, and that will just give you a rough idea of if you are able to create these at the necessary level. So you can see we've got a mastery question and an extension question, so there's one of each, just to give you an idea of the levels. I've also put at the bottom of the page, because a few of you were asking, I've just put the resources from last lesson. Okay, you should have already done at least one of these. If you've already done that, that's fine. This is more because there was a couple of people who missed the lesson, so I've just reposted those so that if you did miss that lesson, you can catch up on what it is that you need to do. So if you're pretty happy with creating and solving equations, then feel free to stop this video and to have a go at those questions. And if you want a bit of an introduction, then stay tuned, and we're going to go through some examples now. So let's start off with a simple one then. Bill joins a golf club. He has to pay a membership fee of $60 and then $15 for every game that he plays. Write a formula to calculate how much it will cost Bill. Now, the first thing to do with these questions is to define some variables, a letter. So what letters are you going to have and what do they represent? I'm going to use B to be how much Bill pays. B for Bill. I'm going to use number of games. I'm going to use lowercase g to represent the games played. G is 1 game. G is 2 games, etc. So my equation, I'm going to say, well, Bill pays. Well, I know first of all he's going to pay $60 because it says however many games he pays $60. But I also know that he's going to add on his price per game. Now, if for every game that he plays, it's going to cost $15. So I know I'm going to have to do 15 multiplied by the number of games he plays, which is G. So I say, well, if I do 15G, 15 times number of games played, that's going to give me the cost. I could have also written this as B is equal to $15 per game plus $60 membership fee. This is a formula because obviously I've got 2 variables. I can't solve it at the moment without being given more information. So that's how to create a formula. But let's also have a look at the same problem, but if it was asked in a way that I would need to create an equation. Remember, a formula will just ask you to give you like what we've just done. It won't necessarily ask you for a specific answer. If you have to solve an equation, there will be a specific answer, and we'll see that in the next example. So here, the same start of the question, but instead of just the first section, it says Bill spends $225 on golf. So now we have more information. And then it says write and solve an equation to show this. Well, we know that the first part of the equation is still the same. It's still $15 per game plus $60 to join. But if we can say is we can add some extra information. We also know that the cost was $225. So now we have an equation that we can solve. We can subtract 60 from both sides to give us $15 per game. We've spent the $60 fee, so $165 must have been spent on games. Then we can divide by 15. Reminder, you can use your calculator to do this step. And then we do 165 divided by 15. He must have played 11 games. What does this mean? It means he's played 11 games and they cost $15 each. So the solution is that he has played 11 games. So there's a simple example. Now, obviously, I can't show you every single word problem in the world but the basic skills are the same. What letters are you going to use? What information do you have in the question? Is it asking you to solve or just create a formula? Because they're two different, very similar, but different types of questions. Okay, so let's just review. Sometimes you'll be able to solve. Sometimes you'll just create a formula. It depends on the question. Okay, let's look at another example. So this one gives you a series of steps. It says to convert a temperature in Fahrenheit to one in Celsius, you have to multiply by 9, add 160, and divide by 5. Write a formula to show this. Again, I'm going to define my variables. I'm going to say F for the Fahrenheit temperature. F for Fahrenheit makes sense. Keep it simple. Makes sense to use letters that link to the question so that you can easily refer back to it. I'm going to use C for the Celsius temperature because, again, C for Celsius, and then it is easier to read. So using those, F and C, okay, I'm going to create my equation. Now I want to convert it from Fahrenheit to 1 in Celsius. So first of all, I'm going to start with F for Fahrenheit. Well, it says that I need to multiply the Celsius temperature by 9. 9 times the Celsius. That's this bit here done. I then need to add 160. That's this one here done. And then I need to divide by 5. And that's this one here done. If you leave the formula like this, that's absolutely fine. Some of you will be a bit more confident with your fractions and will say, well, 160 divided by 5 is 32. And then we can say 9 divided by 5 is 9 divided by 5. We're adding them on, and it's 9 over 5c plus 32. Both of these are acceptable answers. So now we know temperature in Fahrenheit is 9 over 5 times Celsius plus 32. So we can keep that formula. F is equal to 9 over 5c plus 32. I'll show you both ways, or F equals 9c plus 160 over 5. I'm going to show you how both of them can work. It says, what if we had 10 degrees in 10 degrees in Celsius? Well, that means that C is going to be worth 10. So we're going to put that into the formula. 9 over 5 plus 32. So we're changing everything, keeping everything the same, but the C. So we now know that Celsius is 10. Again, this is where our calculators are going to come in handy. Please check your answer with a calculator or just use your calculator. It's very frustrating if you know the right maths, but you make a mistake when you could have used your calculator to catch the error. So in both ways, we can see 9 over 5 times 10 becomes 16. Again, use your calculator, plus 32. Sorry, it's not 16 at all, it's 18. Again, I just checked that on my calculator. So F is equal to 50. Here we can say that F equals 90 plus 160 is 250 divided by 5. F is equal to 50. So both examples, we now have the same answer. So again, sometimes you'll get asked to do a formula, sometimes you'll get asked to solve. Make sure that you are sure of which is which. Use the keywords in the question to help you. Okay, let's just go back and have one last look at those last two examples. We had write a formula. That's where you're just going to end up with something which doesn't have a definitive answer. So like we had 9 over 5c plus 32, or F equals 9c plus 160 over 5. So that's formula. Or it will say an equation. The other keyword you can look for is solve, and that is where you get a final answer. So those are the basic skills of how to create an equation or a formula. Remember that every question is different, but the techniques are the same. What are your variables? How are you using them? Are you adding, subtracting, multiplying? Use your bit of logic, and hopefully you'll be able to figure it out from the question. None of the ones you're going to get expected to do are that complex. They're not trying to catch you out. Just think about the question logically. Okay, so have a go. Feel free to go back through this video again. If you're feeling happy, you can go to the Teamy post and you can have a go at the questions that I've assigned you. Some of them are formulae, some of them are equations. Make sure you read the question carefully for section A and B to know which is which. And there's a mastery exemplary question to test your knowledge after you've finished section 1, 2, and hopefully had a go at the extension questions as well. You're going to answer them in your books, okay? So don't worry about logging into any online activities today. This is just a chance for you to have a little practice. I'm going to be in the Google Meet classroom if you want to ask any questions. And so you can just drop in, ask a question, and once you're happy, you can drop out and carry on with your work. And remember, next lesson is our review. So today it's about practice, and then next lesson we're going to do our review, but I'm going to share a separate post which is going to give you more detail on that. Good luck.